other guests who are with us via YouTube. My name is Joe Stivers, and I'm the band director at Crosby Middle School here in Louisville, Kentucky. We started this series, which the idea came from our students, and it's titled Coffee with Crosby and Musicians. But we started this with the intent that we could connect with our students virtually by bringing in guests via Zoom that are pre-recorded sessions so they can talk about their history in music. That students, a lot of these musicians we're interviewing started when they were your age. Some of them play professionally still today, some of them have other career paths but still keep music as a constant in their life. And that's the whole intent with this series, is that we can encourage you now to not quit, to not give up, to not see it as just something that's temporal, but that music enriches your life and blesses your life. So here with us today is local clarinetist Carrie RavenStem, and she has a personal connection to Crosby that I mentioned in her introduction, but you are in for a treat, and at the end of the interview will also be a performance that is going to blow your mind. So let's give a virtual welcome to Carrie RavenStem. All right, well, students, welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Crosby and Musicians. So in our second episode, we have with us Carrie RavenStem, and a personal connection we have with her in our Crosby community is that her son Jonathan plays the French horn in the band at Crosby. So, Carrie, would you care to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, my name is Carrie RavenStem. I am a clarinetist here in Louisville. I specialize in contemporary clarinet music, which means that I play quite a bit of music that is written by composers who are still living. So I get to talk with them and work with them on music that they are writing in this time, but also are actually writing for me in a lot of situations. So, and again, I live here in Louisville, and we have 4 kids in JCPS schools right now. And so, yes, 4 different JCPS schools.
So you have a lot of NTI going on right now in the house.
Yes, probably more than I care to share.
Understand. Well, thanks for taking the time on a weekend to be with us in this just interview where we're dialoguing as musicians and inspiring our younger musicians. So that's a good segue to our first question, is just if our audience in mind is middle school students and we're interviewing musicians of all walks of life, like how did essentially your musical journey begin?
My journey actually did not start as a clarinetist. Many people either know me as a clarinetist or they know me as this other musician, but I was actually a concert pianist. I started playing the piano at the age of 3. My mother was a pianist and had realized that I could hear music and play it just by listening. That I could play things exactly the way they were played to me. So they realized that I also had perfect pitch at that age. And she started to teach me the pieces that she was playing. And so that I actually started learning her work. I started taking lessons formally when I was 6. And by that time I had already started playing in different places and things. And then I became pretty serious about piano very quickly, was practicing many hours a day. By the time I was 10, I was up to about 6 hours a day. I didn't realize that I wanted to play clarinet. I was in 2nd grade, and I realized in 2nd grade that well, I got to see a clarinetist come to my school when I was in 2nd grade, and I said I really wanted to play that instrument. And where I grew up, we didn't have beginning band in all of the schools in elementary and middle school, so I had to wait until I was a freshman in high school. And so I started beginning band as a freshman in high school, and by the time I was a senior, I was playing in the Chicago Youth Symphony, and I was auditioning for colleges for scholarships for performance.
That is truly incredible. And to hear it resonates for me when you say second grade, because that's how old my oldest son is right now. He's 7 years old, second grade. And I see a lot of musical aptitude within him, and we're going to start nurturing that. So that's really incredible. And with that, I think our students also have this idea to explore not just the instrument they're on for these 3 years at Crosby, but build upon being a musician. So I think they're going to be encouraged to hear you started piano and clarinet was something you were inspired to do. Not until freshman year. That's crazy.
It was a little frightening, to be honest. I was very, very fortunate to have an amazing band director who was an actual clarinetist. And he was older and was actually friends with Benny Goodman and Gene Krupa when he was
Wow.
younger. And so my teacher, who we lovingly called Doc, because he had his doctorate, just basically was honest with me from the beginning and said, if you really want to make a career of this, you need to get serious really fast.
Wow.
Because I was already, 14 years old and learning an instrument. So when students have the ability to start playing an instrument in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade here in Jefferson County, it's just amazing. It's amazing that we have that opportunity to start early. But you can play more than one instrument. I still play piano quite a bit. I actually can accompany all of my clarinet students on their clarinet music.
Wow.
Which is a lot of fun. I also accompany my daughter, who is a cellist. I haven't started accompanying Jonathan yet because we're not quite at that stage yet for solo work.
Yeah.
But as soon as he's ready to, I'm sure I will. And I actually did play piano as an accompanist through quite a bit of college. I helped out with a vocal studio while I was doing my clarinet degree. And I also played quite a bit of piano when I taught music theory and ear training, both at Ball State and IUS. And then I also did quite a bit of teaching at University of Louisville as well. So my piano has traveled with me,
Yes.
even though I'm technically a clarinetist.
Mm-hmm.
So multi-instruments it's really beneficial. And
Absolutely.
since the language is all the same, you can transfer. Music is the same no matter what instrument you're playing, which is amazing. So lots more opportunities that way.
Absolutely. And I heard you mention Benny Goodman, and some of our students may or may not know who Benny Goodman is, but that's another question we have for you that students came up with is, what musicians would you say and have inspired you along your musical endeavors?
I think the first clarinetist that I remember just completely latching onto when I was a high schooler as a beginner in high school was actually Richard Stoltzman. And he is still playing today and fabulous. And actually he just released yet another CD, which is amazing. Both soloist and orchestral player. So he's wonderful. The people that I'm following currently and that I just am really motivated by, there is a clarinetist named Sharon Cam, which she's just absolutely stunning, just so emotional, and there's energy and there's sorrow. It's just so colorful. It's wonderful. The vocalist Barbara Hannigan, which is it's strange. You're a clarinetist. Why would you listen to a vocalist? She is absolute power and flexibility as a musician. Just listening to her sing and what she can do with her voice and the color and the command that she has, and then yet the tenderness that she has. I like to see if I can bring that into my clarinet performing. So I love to listen to her. Then I also love to listen to Anthony McGill. He used to play in the Met Opera, and now he is the principal clarinetist of the New York Phil.
Wow.
Many people know Anthony as the clarinetist who played for President Obama's inauguration.
Okay.
And he is outstanding, just and a lovely person. I was very fortunate to get to meet him before COVID. He was actually at one of the universities here with his brother, Damare Gill, who is the the principal flutist in Seattle Symphony, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
But amazing brother team from Chicago. And just wonderful to see again the emotion and the power, and I just love the colors that all of those musicians portray. So I like to listen to them and see how I can incorporate that and translate that into my own playing. So
I love that. And the fact that you talked just about the connections and also how it's impacted you as a performer and what comes out in your musicianship. So, and that's an encouragement piece I want to give our students is the more we can listen to professionals and feel connected to them and inspired by them, the more our ear grows, and more than that, we're tapping into our soul. So just
yes.
love that you highlighted some heroes to you. So.
Yeah, I think sometimes we tend to think of practicing as just having our instrument on us and making music with the instrument, but listening to other performers is a form of practice because you're listening to their shape and their style and their technique and their tone quality. And that allows us to develop our ear and also to help us decide what we want to sound like as musicians. Do we like this? Do we not like this? What can I do? Same or different? And so I listen to music for that purpose very often, and I do consider that part of my practice regime, is to be listening and trying to learn from others. So
Absolutely. And you've touched a little bit on this through our dialogue about maybe what you're doing now as a professional, but would you care to talk about music and arts and other things you're doing that
sure.
are maybe not necessarily holding that clarinet, but
Yeah. So when I am not practicing and playing the clarinet, which currently, obviously with COVID, it's been a little challenging not to perform. But I actually also am what's called an educational representative for music and arts. And Music and Arts is a music company. It's the nation's largest music company. And my job is to assist schools in getting them the supplies and the instruments that they need to help you produce your music and for you to grow. I also help students pick out new instruments, and I help them rent instruments as well. So when you are a beginner and you don't have your instrument, or if you want something a little better, or if you want something that's your own, I actually help students get what they need as far as instruments and supplies. So I travel to the schools throughout the week, make sure all the band directors and the orchestra directors have what they need. And so that's what I do, I would say, during the normal business hours.
Sure.
And then I also teach. I have taught master classes all over the place, which is basically a big group of clarinet players getting in one room, and we have people play in front of each other, and I kind of coach people to help them play better and to help them learn from the lesson. I also teach private lessons, and I have been teaching private lessons actually online for 10 years, which is strange. Wow. One of my very first online private clarinet student, he lives up in Minnesota, and he is currently studying with one of my prior teachers from the Chicago Symphony now in college. So
wow.
Yeah, so this whole teaching private lessons online is very common for me, and I just feel at home. It's a lot of fun, and it allows me to help students go where they want to go and get as fast and as great as they want to get on their time. And if they want to be super rock stars, I can help students get to be super rock stars. So I love teaching privately. It's I just feel like I'm giving back and helping the future of music, because at some point it'd be awesome for other clarinetists to be able to take over our places and be able to continue with
Mm-hmm.
music. So
Yes. And so you've, again, a lot of what we're talking about maybe bleeds over into another question that's coming. But a question you actually suggested, I think, ties into this as well. But it's we just want to ask, like, along your journey, what benefits have come with being a musician? And also, you recommended this question: why did you choose to continue with music instead of another career path? But I think that choice probably also has a bit of your philosophy and your heart behind it. So,
sure. Well, I've been a musician my whole life. And many people can say that. I think there's a lot of people that have been realized early on that they wanted to be involved in music. Some don't start until middle school, which is perfectly great. It's awesome that you get that chance to do that. I always wanted to be a musician of some sort or another. I really didn't have any other thoughts. I remember for a little while in college, I was also double majoring in chemistry because I almost wanted to be in medicine as well. But I couldn't let go of the music, of practicing, and that self-satisfaction of just being able to connect with my emotions in a different level and connect with other emotions, with other people on a different level. There's nothing more fulfilling and satisfying to me than to perform for other people and have them connect with me, and to be able to understand what I'm trying to portray in my music, and for them to be like, yeah, that was just really powerful. And it's not about how great of a player you are, and it's not about everything being perfect, because music is not perfect. Unless you are sitting in a recording studio for 10, 12 hours a day and having them edit, it's not perfect. That's not what this is about. This is about being able to connect with your soul and your spirit, and you have that joy and happiness of being able to express yourself in something other than words. I mean, it just gives you an opportunity to share. And when you can talk to another person on that musical level, it's almost like your inner beings speak to one another, and it's just a lovely, lovely moment. And so I decided I did not want to give that up. I did leave music for a couple of years when I was in my 30s, and went into the big corporate world for a while. And it was hard. It was a very difficult time emotionally for me, and I said, no, this is not really what I wanted. So I pulled my clarinet back out and I dusted it off, and it's been nonstop since. So
I was getting emotional about your response, just because in light of COVID and the beauties to which you talk about being a musician and the connectedness we feel, it's undoubtedly something we all are missing. So I
yes.
think these opportunities to dialogue, discuss, and for our young musicians to hear, a career path can be musical. Maybe it means you're still a musician, but also a nurse. But that's the intent with our pieces that we're doing. So.
Yes, you don't have to. I think, and I have to say that this is something that is a very big misunderstanding with many people who are serious about music, is that you can still continue to play music even if you don't want to get your degrees in music, or if you don't want to make that your living. So many of us do music, but we do other things as well. Music just happens to be like the hub of our life, and then everything kind of centers around that. And I have, over the years, had many adult students come to me who are in their 60s who wanted to play but could not as a child. And so they either take piano lessons with me or they want to learn the clarinet. And so much joy in learning at such a late stage for them. And they're like, oh, I'm too old. I'm like, you're never too old. If this is really what you want in here,
Yes,
it will happen. It will happen. So even if you decide to be a doctor or a fighter pilot, or you want to work in environmental science, whatever the case may be, your music will continue to go with you. Just bring your instrument with you and you have that sense of centeredness and peace. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing for us to have in our lives, to kind of give us that centeredness that sometimes we don't have.
amen. Absolutely. And our last question, and I'm looking just to make sure, if for some reason, Carrie, we get kicked off, I'm going to resume and do another connection point. We should be good though. But the last question, again, thinking of our audience in mind and everything you've had to share, like what piece of advice would you give the middle school musician today?
I think for a middle school student, take what you're doing seriously. Listen as much as you can to those that are around you, because music starts with listening. If you have the abilities to take a private lesson here or there, to study with somebody who is actually doing this performing and has been in the field for a while, they will help to share secrets and ideas and concepts about your instrument to make you a better player faster. Do not get discouraged if it doesn't work out really well at the beginning, because we all have those days of we just want to put it away. That is okay. It's okay. But you just have to know that if you are enjoying yourself here, the music will be worth it and it will come. Just be patient with yourself.
Yes. And as you said, it's not about being perfect. And we know middle schoolers are perfect, right?
We try.
No, but well, we cannot thank you enough for just taking the time to do this. And usually we conclude with like a suggested piece and or you performing. So we've already talked about what we're going to insert in at the end of this video interview, but would you care to describe what our students are going to be hearing?
Sure. So I am actually the co-founder of a contemporary chamber ensemble here in Louisville, and we are called Atonal. And we actually have an EP that we released a few years ago. Two of the composers for our group that are living, one is RavenStem, which is actually Jonathan's dad, and my husband, and the other one is Daniel Gillum, and Daniel is on the radio at WUOL. We recorded two of their pieces for this CD. So what I'll be providing is one of the pieces off of the CD so that you could hear what the clarinet sounds like in a contemporary chamber ensemble.
We love that. Well, we look forward to hearing it. And thank you again so much for just your time. And is there anything else you want to share as we wrap up, or?
No, just enjoy yourselves. Get that music, make those squawky, squeaky sounds that you do when you're beginning. It's okay. I know it scares the cats and the dogs and the moms and the dads, but it is part of the process. And the more of that you go at it and fight for it, the less squeaky, squawky sounds will come out, and you'll realize that it turns into music overnight and you'll really enjoy it. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a treat to hear from you and you share about your past of music and where it's taken you today. So I know our students will feel inspired. And our session is called Coffee with Crosby and Musicians. So do you drink any coffee? All right, there we go. What's your favorite blend?
I'm not a huge coffee drinker anymore. This is actually chai tea that's in this.
All right,
But
well, virtual peers.
Yeah, cheers. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you again, Carrie, and students. We'll give a virtual applause at this point, but we look forward to sharing this on our YouTube series. And students, if you would like to know more about music and arts, or do you have a website as well as a professional?
I do.
Okay.
Actually, you can reach me on my website. Do you want the address
I'll
or?
put it at the bottom of our video. How about that?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes, and there is, if you have questions about clarinet or you're interested in lessons or if you need help with anything, I do have a contact area on that page and you or your parents can email me and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
That is perfect. Well, thank you so much. And students, virtual applause.